Mr. Chair, council members, and participants, we are now live.
Good morning. This is the Committee on Finance for today, Wednesday, February 16th, 2022. I understand that state law currently requires that the following announcement be made at the beginning of every remote public hearing as follows. Due to the current public health emergency, City Council committees are currently meeting remotely on Microsoft Teams to have these remote hearings possible. Instructions for how the public may view and offer public testimony at public hearings of council committees are included in the public hearing notices that are published in Daily News, Philadelphia Inquirer, and Legal Intelligentsia prior to the hearings and can also be found on phlcouncil.com. I now note that the hour has come to call this hearing to order. Mr. Inez, will you please call the roll to take attendance? Members that are in attendance, will you please indicate that you are present when your name is called and say a few words when responding so that your image will be displayed on screen when you speak.
Apologies. Councilmember Allen Dom.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and colleagues. I'm present.
Councilmember Helen Gim.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and colleagues. I am present.
Councilmember Curtis Jones Jr. Councilmember Mark Squilla.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and colleagues present.
Chair Green.
Good morning, and good morning to all of my colleagues. Councilmember Jones, I know, was also here. Let's give us a few moments.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
it appears that Councilmember Bass has joined us.
Okay.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you, Councilmember Bass. We will now proceed with the hearing. Thank you. We now have a quorum of the committee as present. The hearing is now called to order. This is the public hearing of the Committee on Finance regarding bills number 220006, 220079, and 220080. Mr. Inez, will you please read the titles of the bills?
Bill number 220080, an ordinance authorizing the execution, delivery, and performance by the Philadelphia Facilities Management Corporation on behalf of Philadelphia Gas Works of a renewal of service agreement for gas storage and transportation under rate schedule GSS with Transcontinental Gas Pipeline Company, LLC. Bill number 220079, an ordinance constituting 26 Supplemental Ordinance to the Restated General Water and Wastewater Revenue Bond Ordinance of 1989 as supplemented, etc. And Bill number 220006, an ordinance amending Chapter 19, 4000, entitled Income Inequality Initiative Earned Income Tax Credit by requiring employers to provide notification to workers regarding the availability of certain additional federal and city tax benefit programs and extending the Department of Revenue's notification and reporting requirements to such additional tax benefit programs under certain terms and conditions.
Thank you, Mr. Iannuzzi. Before we begin to hear testimony from the witnesses we have here for today, everyone who has been invited to the meeting to testify, the hearing to testify, should be aware that this public hearing is being recorded. Because the hearing is public, participants and viewers have no reasonable expectation of privacy. By continuing to be in this hearing, you are consenting to being recorded. Additionally, prior to recognizing members for question or comment that they have for witnesses, I will note for the record at this time that we will use the chat feature available in Microsoft Teams to allow members to signify that they wish to be recognized. In order to comply with the Sunshine Act, the chat feature must only be used for this purpose. Mr. Isaac, will you please call the first witness regarding bill number, give me 1 second. Bill number 220080.
John Zook, Senior Vice President for Gas Management at PGW.
Good morning, council people. Chairman Green,
Mr.
would you like
Zook,
me to read my testimony?
Yeah, Mr. Zook, before you state your testimony, I'd like to also acknowledge that we are joined by Councilmember Jones as well. Mr.
And Councilmember David O. Thank you, Chairman.
Councilmember David O. Thank you, Councilmember O. Yes, Mr. Zook, please just state your name for the record and then proceed with your testimony.
Okay. Well, my name is John Zook, Senior Vice President for the Philadelphia Gas Works. Good day, Chairman Green and members of City Council Committee on Finance. My name is John Zook. I am the Senior Vice President of Gas Management for Philadelphia Gas Works. I'm appearing today on behalf of PGW in support of Bill number 220080, which would approve a request to renew a service agreement for rate schedule GSS. Approving a request for authorization to execute, deliver, and perform a renewal of service agreement under rate GSS with Transcontinental Gas Pipeline Company, LLC. PFMC enters into natural gas storage and transportation contracts on behalf of PGW to allow PGW to, one, balance both its system requirements as well as third-party supply requirements when actual demand may be more or less than forecasted demand. Reduce the amount of gas and additional firm pipeline capacity that PGW needs to keep under contract for demand spikes in the operating season. Maintain added security in case of pipeline disruptions, i.e., hurricanes, pipeline failures, supplier freeze-offs, and terrorist attacks. Reduce dependency on PGW's supplemental gas assets, i.e., LNG and obtain a physical pricing advantage during the operating seasons, since all gas volumes are historically injected in and out of operating system time frame when gas demand and pricing is historically lower. PGW's current rate GSS service agreement with Transcontinental Gas Pipeline Company LC has a term ending March 31st, 2023. And Transco has informed PGW they're willing to offer PGW a renewal of an agreement for an additional term ending in March 31st, 2028, provided that PGW enters into such renewal by March 31st, 2022. The gas storage and bundled transportation that is the subject of this proposed renewal of the agreement comprise approximately 20% of PGW's total storage capacity and is one of PGW's least expensive storages. And if PGW is unable to renew its contract for GSS storage and transportation with Transco, PGW will have to attempt to replicate the service for both balancing and operating season delivery at an increase in cost of approximately $8.5 million per year. PGW is required to comply with the least cost procurement policy requirement mandated by the Pennsylvania Public Gas Utility Commission, at 66 PA. In order to meet this legal requirement, PGW must respond to market procurement conditions, standards regarding the acquisition of gas supply, storage, distribution, transportation, and transmission, and the renewal of service agreement under rate schedule GSS is consistent with the form of agreement for use under Transco GSS rate schedule contained in the Transco FERC tariff. In conclusion, PGW has proposed the approval of the request to renew a service agreement for rate schedule GSS. Therefore, PGW respectfully asks the committee for a favorable report on bill number 220080 and the City Council approval. PGW also respectfully requests suspension of the rules for initiating reading of this bill. I would like to extend our appreciation to both the Commission and staff for conducting a budget review that was both efficient and comprehensive. Also, on behalf of PGW, I would like to thank the City Council for its past support of our efforts to serve the citizens of Philadelphia and look forward to our continued support. I am available to respond to any questions, concerns to this matter. Thank you for your time and consideration in this matter.
Thank you, Mr. Zook. Before we take any questions from members of council that may have, just from an overall perspective, you provide a lot of information. But if you could just, in a very succinct way, state, the savings that the citizens or the ratepayers of the city of Philadelphia will benefit by this contract.
The savings we currently inject, as I stated earlier, into the off-system storage at about approximately last year $3 per deck. If we would have went out,
Mr. Zook, when you say deck, you're saying decatherm, correct?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Decatherms. And if we were to go out and have to purchase this gas, we'll say previously in the January, you were talking about $10 per decatherm. So you can see it's a $7 difference if we had to go out, if we didn't have the storage, go out and purchase it during the time when we needed it.
Absolutely. And this provides the opportunity to, from a timing perspective, enable us to purchase and also have the storage ability within the Transco pipeline at a time and at a means that makes it more feasible and more economical for both the ratepayers and for the system as a whole.
That is correct.
Thank you. Thank you. Are there any questions for any members of the committee? I know that the Gas Commission staff, and I know Jamela McClendon, Esquire, the chair of the executive director of the Gas Commission, and her staff also reviewed and approved this proposal through their review. The Gas Commission also supported this approval unanimously through our Gas Commission hearing previous to this Finance Committee hearing. So with that, are there any additional questions from members of the committee for Mr. Zook? Okay, seeing and hearing none, thank you, Mr. Zook, for your testimony. And I believe that is the only witness for this matter, bill number 220079. And I don't see or hear any other members of council that have questions for this witness regarding this bill. So we'll now call on Mr. Anuzzi to call next panel of witnesses regarding testimony regarding bill number 220006. Before we have those witnesses testify, I know Council Member Dom would like to be recognized for a comment.
Thank you, Chairperson Green. And pursuing this legislation today, it requires employers to notify their employees about the Philadelphia wage tax refund and the federal child tax credit, in addition to the EITC program, which is already required in our Philadelphia Code. And these programs are really created to help Philadelphians who are doing their best to put food on the table to pay their bills. And, speak to Bill Goller at United Way, he tells me there's over $1 billion in federal money in some of these programs that we don't get into the hands of Philadelphians. And we continue to leave this money on the table. So if we really want to help these struggling families, and every one of us should be doing this, there's nothing more important that I can think of right now. It's public safety and getting federal money of $1 billion into the hands of Philadelphians. So I appreciate our employers working in partnership to increase the number of people signing up for these safety net programs they help fund. And I also want to mention this bill also includes the payroll service companies. So a payroll service company, whether it's ADP or Paychex, whoever that company is, we want them to also send out a notification to the employees that are getting checks about these programs. I want to thank my co-sponsors on the legislation, Council Members Green, Gilmore, Richardson, Johnson, Brooks, Gautier, Thomas, and Gim. And today we also have members of the Revenue Department who've been extremely helpful in crafting this legislation. Thank you to all of you. And also Mary Arthur, who from Campaign for Working Families, a nonprofit fighting alongside of us, working tirelessly. She does a great job to ensure Philadelphians file their taxes and access these benefits. So I thank my colleagues for being here today, and I hope to have your votes on this legislation. And I want to thank all the partners. Really, we owe a debt of gratitude to all of you. Thanks very much, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Councilmember Dom. Councilmember Jones would like to be recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to go on record thanking Member Dom for staying focused on this important component of the reduction of poverty and actually putting food on the plates of Philadelphians. We averaged, at least back in the day, before the benefits program was designed, which is a codification of eligibility for Philadelphians. Like if you plug in your information one time, you get qualified for many benefits that you're under your particular demographic eligible for. It was estimated back at its time to be about $11,000 per eligible family that was being left on the table. Everything from dental benefits, eye benefits, healthcare benefits, and rebates that we were eligible for that the federal government gave.
Put it out today.
That the federal government.
New U.S.
Hold on, Councilmember Jones.
Yeah,
Please mute
the same
yourself.
map, the same way. There's a map in the new map.
Same
Councilmember Sanchez.
extra or anything like that on the map.
Hold on, just talking.
Councilmember Sanchez, if you can mute yourself, thank you. Please proceed, Councilmember Jones.
Yeah, that's quite all right. So for you to stay focused on this, it is equal to any rebate or any stimulus package that gets given. It's money we are deserving of and definitely needed. When all other benefits are slowly being weaned away, that staying focused on these kinds of things is very important. So thank you, Member Dom.
Thank you, Councilmember Jones. Thank you, Councilmember Dom. We are now move forward for the panel for bill number 220006. Ms. Chinese, if you can call the witnesses for this panel.
Rebecca Lopez-Chris, Deputy Commissioner for Policy and Outreach, Philadelphia Department of Revenue.
Good morning. Good morning, Chairperson Green and members of the Committee on Finance.
Yes.
My name is Rebecca Lopez-Chris. I'm the Deputy Commissioner for Policy and Outreach at the Department of Revenue.
Okay, thank you, and please proceed with your testimony.
Good morning. My name is Rebecca Lopez-Chris, and I'm the Deputy Revenue Commissioner for Policy and Outreach. I am here today to present on Bill 220006. This bill expands the city's reporting requirements for the following tax programs: the Earned Income Tax Program, the Earned Income Tax Credit, or EITC, the Child Tax Credit, or CTC, and the Low Income Wage Tax Refunds. Specifically, Bill 220006 requires three things. It requires the creation of a new tax liability reduction eligibility notice by the Department of Revenue. This notice, accessible to all Philadelphia residents, will describe each program, its eligibility requirements, application processes, and associated contact information. The bill also requires all employers to provide the tax liability reduction notice to their employees by February 15th of each year. And finally, the bill also establishes annual reporting requirements on its implementation. By July 1st of each year, the Department of Revenue will publish a report on its website that includes the number of Philadelphia residents who received benefits from the EITC, CTC, and low-income wage tax refund programs, and the estimated eligible populations. The administration supports Bill 220006. However, I do want to just make it clear in our testimony that due to eligibility expansions last year and the lack of specific data from the federal government, accurately estimating the number of residents eligible for CTC is complicated. We will do our best to comply with all annual reporting requirements outlined in this bill. Like City Council, we believe it is important to help taxpayers apply for our tax programs like the Low Income Wage Tax Refund and federal programs like the EITC and CTC. We also believe it is important to show taxpayers what is available in clear and understandable terms. This bill will help us do both things by establishing the informational tax liability reduction form and creating fixed reporting requirements. We look forward to working with City Council and the Office of Community Empowerment and Opportunity on implementing this bill. Thank you for the opportunity to testify, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Lopez. Chris, are there any questions for this witness? Okay, seeing and hearing none. Mr. Iannucci, can you call the next witness?
Mary Arthur, CEO and President of the Campaign for Working Families.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for the invitation, and thank you, Councilman Dom, for keeping this on the forefront of all of our minds. I've been doing this work now for 18 years, and I'm just going to start with a taxpayer that we did work for on Saturday. She received,
Ms. Arthur,
can you hear me?
Yes, if you can state your name for the record, please, so you can hear that, and then proceed with your testimony.
Sorry, I get too excited about my work.
No
My
problem.
name is Mary Arthur, and I am the President and CEO of the Campaign for Working Families. We provide free tax preparation services to residents of the city of Philadelphia. So again, I am very grateful for this opportunity to talk about this work. But I wanted to start with the story from Saturday. We prepared a young lady's tax return who was eligible for all the credits that are being mentioned here. She received a refund check of $17,000. Her goal is to buy a home. So with the help of the city and employers, think of the impact that the families, this bill will have on all the families. Part of our tax is to put out in the community the credits that are available to them to reach as many people, individuals, and families to receive these credits. However, with your support and the support of this bill, just think about the impact that this could have on the residents. You know, when we talk about a renter, someone moving from renting to owning, someone that can feed their family without the stress of wondering where that next meal is going to come from, buying clothes for their children, making home improvements. And those home improvements become community improvements. And all the refunds that come back to the families and individuals come back to the city of Philadelphia, because that's where they're going to spend their dollars. So we are absolutely in support of Bill 22-00006 because of all that it can do for the residents of the city of Philadelphia. And if our goal is to help move Philadelphia out of poverty, this bill is a great starting place for it. All the families, all the working people that do not know. We've been in business for 19 years. However, there are thousands in the city that still do not know that these credits are available to them. And in the education of letting them know that it is, we, the campaign, can educate them to the point of filing those returns for them and letting them know that by getting these tax credits, it does not affect any other of your benefits. It does not go to cause any negativity in your life outside of the improvements. People are afraid to fall for these credits because they don't know if they have to pay them back. They really just don't understand what the word tax credit means. And with your help and the work that we do, we can really make impact in the city of Philadelphia. So I really thank you for this opportunity, and I'm available for any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Arthur, for your testimony this morning, and thank you for your many years of service leading the campaign for working families. We met many years ago when actually I had some hair, when I worked with Councilmember Tasco, and you're also partnering with Charmaine Matlock Turner, Urban Affairs Coalition. And I just have a quick question, and then I'll recognize Councilmember Dom for a question. Considering some of the recent challenges pre-COVID in reference to policies and other initiatives regarding those that may have a different background regarding immigration, and then also because of the impact of the pandemic, how has that impacted the work that you've done with a campaign for working families to get more people knowledgeable about this earned income tax credit, and how has things progressed over the years as well?
So if we go back to 2018, tax year 2018, which was, we were working in 2018, we were able to service upwards to 37,000 families. When COVID hit, of course, numbers decreased. We actually had to change our model, our delivery service of model. I would say last year we are on our way back. We were able to service upwards to 27,000, which going through the pandemic and, the fears, a lot of people did not file. A lot of people were on unemployment and they did not file because unemployment is not considered earned income. And what they missed out on was we could do a look back for them to the year that they did have earnings and use that for them to receive their earned income tax credit. So I believe that we are finally moving to the other side of COVID, where people are now coming out. When it comes to the child tax credit, there's 1 year of a major change to someone in immigration status for the parent, but the child has Social Security numbers. They're eligible for the child tax credit, and they're eligible if they had no income. So you don't have to have income for the child tax credit. The change in the tax law for the EITC, if you are 18 years of age, aging out of foster care, you are now eligible for the earned income tax credit to the amount of $1,502, right? They've changed the tax law credit, earned income tax law credit for 19-year-olds. And now seniors who are working can now receive it. So someone who's 68 years old and have still limited income, they're now eligible for that full credit amount of $1,500. So with the tax law changes, there are a lot of benefits to the families. If someone is married filing separately, in the past, they could not claim the EITC. Now they can. So the expectation on our part is that the more people learn about the tax law changes, they are now, they will come in and receive those services. So we're hoping we're on a good path this year of reaching some substantial numbers in those areas. But again, with your help and with employers sending out notices, and as it was stated, all employers sending out, not just city, to city workers, but if we could get all employers to send out that information, I mean, that would be tremendous for the families as well as the city.
Okay, thank you for your testimony and that update. Councilmember Don.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I want to thank also Councilman Jones on his comments. Appreciate it. And Mary, thanks for your great work. And Rebecca, thanks for all your help. And also want to thank Laurel in my office for crafting this legislation and doing a great job. But I also want to mention that to Rebecca, I think what we should do, because we have a problem with people not knowing about these programs. We passed that wage tax refund where the Revenue Department told us could be 40 to 50,000 families that qualify, could be 140,000 people that get checks on wage tax refunds. And sadly, last year, I think it was like 1,450 families or 1,500 actually applied. And it just breaks your heart that this money's available and people don't know about it. But the breakthrough here is not just employers, because most employers today use payroll service companies. The breakthrough here is how do we sit down with ADP, how do we sit down with Paychex and other payroll service companies and say to them in a positive way, this is a great tool for you to help Philadelphians. This is a great tool for you to sell your services, because you go to an employer and say, not only can we do your payroll, but we can help your employees achieve other monies that they are due from the federal government. And I think it's just something that we should, Rebecca, I'm happy to work with you on this. We should call these ADP, Paychex, and other companies, sit down, meet with them, and figure it out in a positive way how we can make this happen where they get the notifications out. So I just wanted to mention that, and thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you all for all your help on this. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Dom. I recognize Councilmember Jones.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Arthur, do you still administer Philly, that program for codification of benefits?
Yes, when someone comes into the tax site, we can screen them for the 29 public benefits that they're eligible for. And by screening them, it immediately tells them what those benefits are that they are and the amounts that they can receive. Then the process is to refer them to the Philly centers or to Benefit Data Trust. Prior to COVID, we had 8 resource managers on staff at the campaign to do that work in-house. And that is a goal of ours to get back to that process. But we do screen the taxpayer for those benefits. I like to mention that, I'm sorry.
Well, before you go on, can you cite the top 3 benefits that people miss out on normally?
Well, you wouldn't believe, but SNAP is a major one. People that are working every day, they're being challenged at work. They can't put in to take time off. So they don't know what they're eligible for. So they don't take the extra day to go and research, because they're going to be penalized by losing a day's pay. So SNAP is something that I would say 50%, if not 60% of our clients would be eligible for, as they are eligible for all the credits that have been spoken about today. That is amazing to hear that, isn't it? But that is one that truly could benefit the families.
What about things like LIHEAP, other things, all of that in there?
Yep, LIHEAP is another one because it's a window, and people have to hit that window of time to apply for LIHEAP. And if other things are on your mind and no one is calling you to remind you that there is that opportunity, or they're not receiving notices that they are eligible, they can miss that window as well. we're working to get more people enrolled in healthcare. That has changed tremendously, and there is no reason why a person should be walking around without healthcare today. So, but I can try and pull some other numbers for you to get, some real numbers, I guess. Statistics.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councilmember Jones. Are there any additional witnesses for this panel?
I would like to, excuse me, I wanted to make one comment.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people are paid by direct deposit, so they don't get mail, they don't get notices from the payroll companies. So if, as you speak through this, it would have to be a special notice that they are given, because normally they don't get anything in the mail. They'll go online to look at even their W-2, they go online to print that out. So I just wanted to bring that to the forefront, that a lot of people that are getting direct deposit would not necessarily get mail from the payroll companies. So just wanted to put that on the table.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Arthur. Are there any additional questions for this panel?
Chairperson Green, I have a quick comment I'd like to make.
Please proceed with your comment, Ms. Lopez-Chris.
To respond to Councilmember Dom about the low-income wage tax refund, one thing that's very exciting at the Department of Revenue is that we launched the Philadelphia Tax Center, which now includes all wage tax refunds, including the low-income wage tax refund, which is, you don't need a username and password. It's right on the front page of the website. It's also translated into Spanish, and and it's mobile enabled, so folks will be able to do that on their phone. If let's say they, Mary Arthur, if someone's with you, they could literally be doing it on a tablet. So I'm hopeful that will also support the uptake of that program. And then the other thing I just want to mention to Councilmember Jones, there's a really important program that was launched by the state that we are trying to get the word out about, along with our colleagues at the Water Department, and that's LIWAP. That's a program that it's a bucket of money that is to help folks pay for water debt, and it's statewide, it's across the Commonwealth, and once the money's gone, it's gone. So we're trying to do our best to get the word out about that program, and I'm happy to send you some more information about it.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Mr. Councilmember Jones.
Would that be eligible for things like lateral repair and that bucket of money from the state?
I have to double check. But it's definitely for water debt that's in arrears. So I'm not sure if that would involve, like, let's say if you had a help loan or something like that and you want to pay off your help loan. So I can check with you and follow up later.
Member Green has been very much involved in that whole issue. Lateral damage can make you homeless. Mm-hmm. And so anything that can give working families an opportunity to avoid a $3,000 usually debt, we'd be interested in. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councilmember Jones. And you're referring to the Water Sewer Line Protection Program that is a partnership with the Philadelphia Energy Authority and American Water. That is a program that helps to protect people to not get into the situation where they need the help line. Many laterals in the city are very seasoned, because we live in a very seasoned city. But also you have private laterals. There are a number of constituents that don't realize that they have a private sewer line, and they have to pay for that. And often the costs for that repair are thousands of dollars, which it can be very expensive when we have a city that has a 25% poverty rate. So thank you for that line of questions, Councilmember Jones. Councilmember Dom, I see you indicated with your finger up like you're in church, and I will recognize you for a comment.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. That's a good one. Rebecca, that's great about the tax center. That's great customer service on behalf of the city. I applaud you guys. That's really good. And Mary, I'm glad you mentioned that. We'll have to figure out a way to electronically notify people too. And one of my, I think we're on top of this. I just want to make sure that between our water department, our real estate tax billing, our gas bills that we send out, that all this information about all these benefits that Councilmember Jones spoke about and you spoke about, Mary, that people are aware that those exist when they receive the bills, so they can, if they need help, they can apply for these funds to help them pay the bills. Is that happening now with gas, water, sewer, and real estate taxes?
Is that directed?
That's for
Chris.
Yeah.
Are you asking if we are including bill stuffers with let's say, for example, water bills?
Yes.
We have done that in the past. I'd have to look at what the schedule was, but we've definitely done homestead stuffers. We've done some other things. If you'd like, I can look into what the last schedule was.
Yeah, I mean, the goal is just to get the communication out there that these programs exist, and I think you guys are doing a really good job. So whatever we can do to advance that would be great. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Thank you, both council members Dom and Jones, for your questions. Thank you, Ms. Arthur and Ms. Lopez Chris, for your testimony. Are there any additional questions for either of these two witnesses from members of council? And are there any other witnesses for this panel? Okay. Thank you both for your testimony, and seeing and hearing none, we'll now move to the final panel for this morning. Mr. Iannuzzi, will you please call the witnesses for bill number 220079.
Natalia Dominguez Buckley, Deputy Director of Finance for the City of Philadelphia, Melissa Labuda, Deputy Commissioner for the Philadelphia Water Department, and Matthew Bowman, Executive Director of Philadelphia Sinking Fund Commission.
Thank you all. Ms. Dominguez Buckley, please state your name for the record and then proceed with your testimony.
Sure, Natalia Dominguez Buckley. Good morning, Chair Green and members of the Finance Committee. My name is Natalia Dominguez Buckley, and I am the first Deputy City Treasurer. With me are here Melissa Labuda, Deputy Water Commissioner, and Matthew Bowman, Deputy Treasurer for Debt and Executive Director of the Sinking Fund Commission. I am here to testify on behalf of the Bill 220079. Bill number 220079 will provide authorization to issue water and wastewater revenue bonds in an aggregate amount up to $1 billion, exclusive of original issue discount, if any. Bill number 220079 authorizes the issuance of water and wastewater revenue bonds to pay for projects which consist of such capital improvements to the water system that are authorized and included in the capital budget of the city. Constructing, acquiring, reconstructing, and renovating wastewater treatment plants and related facilities and equipment for the sewer system. Constructing, acquiring, reconstructing, and renovating water treatment plants. Constructing, acquiring, reconstructing, and replacing water, wastewater, and stormwater pipes, pumping stations, and related facilities. Purchasing equipment and apparatus of a capital nature for the water and wastewater systems. Constructing, acquiring, reconstruction, and renovating stormwater management and mitigation improvements and facilities and other improvements and facilities in furtherance of the city's combined sewer overflow CSO long-term control plan update, referred to as the Green City Clean Waters Program. Purchasing vehicles that serve the water or wastewater system, paying the issuance costs of the bonds, and for other transactions-related costs, as well as the defeasance of any obligations issued through the proposed commercial paper program. Appropriations under this bill can also support the Philadelphia Water Department's utilization, pending an approval application of the Federal Water Infrastructure Finance and Innovation Act, known as WIFIA program, to support its approved capital program. The administration recommends the adoption of this bill and respectfully requests that the committee give this bill its favorable recommendation. Thank you for your consideration and the opportunity to testify. We're happy to answer any question you may have at this time.
Thank you for your testimony. I believe next is Ms. Labuda or Mr. Bowman? Why don't we go with Ms. Labuda, and then we'll be followed by Mr. Bowman in that order.
Good morning. We submitted joint testimony, so I don't have anything additional to add. I'm happy to answer any questions, Councilman Green.
Okay, Mr. Bowman.
Likewise, Melissa and I are just here for questions. Natalia's testimony reflects all of our.
Okay, I like the efficiency. Are there any questions for either Ms. Dominguez-Buckley, Ms. Labuda, or Mr. Bowman by any of the members of council? Calling once, calling twice, calling like that band from Tuskegee, Alabama, the Commodores, 3 times a lady. I don't see any additional questions or comments from members of council. Councilmember Jones, it's early in the morning, got to keep it lively. I don't see any additional questions. I want to thank you all for your testimony this morning. We're about to go into the public meeting. Just giving my colleagues notice so you can come back so we can make a quorum for that. I want to thank all the witnesses for being here this morning and being timely. We know it's always sunny in Philadelphia, and thank you for your time and attention this morning with these very important matters before the Finance Committee. And so, are there any people from the public that are here this morning that would like to testify on any of the bills that are being heard this morning? Okay. There being no further questions from members of the committee and no other witnesses testified, I've also just asked if there was anyone else to present this morning, and I did not see any other people whose name we failed to call and that wishes to offer testimony on any of these bills. There being none, I want to thank all the panels for their participation today. We, of course, always value your opinions and will now invite all the panels of witnesses to please disconnect from the meeting before we go into our public meeting. And we'll now pause the proceedings briefly as multiple participants quietly leave the hearing. Okay. This concludes the public hearing of the Committee on Finance. We'll now go into the public meeting to consider the action to be taken on the bills before the committee today. I'll give a few moments to make sure all of my colleagues are here and ready. I see Councilmember Squilla, as well as other council members are here and ready. And now we will now ask Mr. I'm going to convene the public meeting. Will you please call the roll to take attendance? Members that are in attendance will please indicate that you're present when your name is called. And please say a few brief words responding so that your image will be displayed on screen when you speak.
Councilmember Cindy Bass.
Good morning, I am present.
Councilmember Alan Dom.
Good morning, I am present.
Councilmember Helen Gim.
I am present.
Thank you.
Councilmember Curtis Jones Jr.
Good morning, I'm present.
Councilmember David O.
Good morning, I'm present.
Councilmember Maria Quinones Sanchez. Councilmember Mark Squilla.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, colleagues, present.
And Chair Green.
I am present. Thank you all. We'll now go into our public meeting. And Councilmember Squilla, are you ready to do the motions for the public meeting?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Chair recognizes Councilmember Squilla for motion on the amendment to bill number 220006.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I offer amendment to bill number 220006. A copy of the amendment has been circulated to all members of the committee. I move that the amendment to bill number 220006 be approved.
Second.
It was seconded by Councilmember O. And it's been moved and properly second that the amendment to bill number 220006 be approved. All those in favor of the motion will signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it and the motion carries, and the amendment to bill number 220006 has been approved. The chairman recognizes Councilmember Squilla for a motion on bill number 220006 as amended.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move the bill number 220006 as amended be reported from this committee with a favorable recommendation, and further move that the rules of council be suspended as to permit the first reading of this bill at the next session of council.
Second.
Second.
Okay, it was seconded by Councilmember O. It's been moved and properly seconded that bill number 220006 as amended be reported from this committee with a favorable recommendation, and further move that the rules of council be suspended to permit first reading of this bill at the next session of council. All those in favor of this motion will signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed? The ayes have it and the motion carries. I will now recognize Councilmember Squilla for a motion on bill number 220079.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move the bill number 220079 be reported from this committee with a favorable recommendation, and further move that the rules of council be suspended as to permit the first reading of this bill at the next session of council.
Second.
Seconded by Councilmember Bass. Has been moved and properly seconded that bill number 220079 be reported from this committee with a favorable recommendation, and further move that the rules of council be suspended to permit first reading of this bill at the next session of council. All those in favor of the motion will signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? The ayes have it and the motion carries. I will also recognize Councilmember Squilla once again for a motion on bill number 220080.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move the bill number 220080 be reported from this committee with a favorable recommendation, and further move that the rules of council be suspended as to permit the first reading of this bill at the next session of council.
Second.
It was seconded by Councilmember O. Has been moved and properly seconded that bill number 220080 be reported from this committee with a favorable recommendation, and further move that the rules of council be suspended to permit first reading of this bill at the next session of council. All those in favor of the motion will signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it and the motion carries. This concludes this meeting of the Committee on Finance. I want to thank all of you for your attendance and participation this morning. Thank you and have a great day.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr.
Thank
Chair.
you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair.
Have a great day.
Good meeting.